I'm in beautiful Summerland, BC at one of my favorite farms to visit. I've visited here, this is my 4th time, chatting with Brian Callow. His farm is called What the Fungus. They produce mushrooms, all kinds of mushrooms. Brian does seasonal mushrooms, so it changes throughout the season. His farm is so cool as a mushroom farm because it's relatively low tech and low cost of infrastructure to set up compared to what the conventional model is. I think Brian's got a lot to offer as far as showing people how mushrooms could be done on a small scale but also be profitable. So I'm going to sit down and talk with Brian about some of the things that they've changed on the farm in recent years, his mentorship program, and what they're doing for production this summer. How you doing, dude?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Good. So is this peak season?
This is peak season. We've been waiting for the summer to kick off, and about the last 5 days or so we started harvesting about 50 pounds of mushrooms a day right now.
Nice. So you had a bit of a lull. I mean, that's kind of why it took me a while to come. Yeah. What happened with that?
So we're still experimenting a lot, and we're working out a lot of the kinks. Every year we get a lot better at what we're doing. This year we had a little bit of contamination in our grain spawn for our elm oyster, which is our warm weather strain we grow all year long, and we lost about 100 bags of grain spawn. And everything was growing bacteria, and we made a switch to sawdust spawn this year. After that, we've struggled with grain spawn over the last 3 years. And as the summer progresses, we always get a lot of bacteria growing in our bags, and we just kind of accept the loss. Yeah. But this year it was extra bad, and we kind of accounted that for the really wet spring we had, and there was a lot of humidity in the air, and we felt like the moisture in our bags was kind of condensating more out of the bag, inside the bag, than it normally does, and that was from the environmental conditions we were experiencing. Okay. And so we switched to sawdust spawn, and then it took us about 6 to 8 weeks to kind of catch up, and now we're just starting to kind of get back on track. Yeah. And we made some adjustments. So like we lost all our elm oyster spawn, and then I had lots of lion's mane, so then we switched over to that and went kind of heavy on lion's mane. It wasn't the plan. Yeah. And lion's mane takes a little bit longer to grow, so we've been waiting for that to catch up. Now our elm oyster is catching up, and now we're just starting to like explode. And we have a lot of mushrooms fruiting everywhere. Nice. So as you saw. Yeah. So that's what's harvesting right now is lion's mane and elm oyster. Yeah. And so tell us about, one thing, if some of you guys are new and haven't seen, I've done 3 videos with Brian, this is the 4th. If some of you guys aren't familiar with this stuff, check out his videos to get a bit more context. But you do seasonal mushrooms, so it changes throughout the season. Yeah, it's by far the most difficult way to grow mushrooms. Why is that? Would it just be easier to have one? Well, it would be easier to do in an indoor facility, temperature controlled, and just focus on a few varieties. But that's a lot more overhead expense to set that up. Absolutely. Yeah. And we focus on seasonality because we're able to get into this business a lot cheaper. Yeah. But it also makes our business really unique. Yes, the chefs love that because you get this mixed basket. So what was, I don't know if you can like maybe at 4 different snapshots throughout the season so far, what have you had, and what are you going to have in the fall? So yeah, we're just transitioning to summer, so lion's mane and elm oyster right now. We're going to have a little bit of pink oyster and yellow oyster pretty soon. Yeah. And then we're running back into August where we start transitioning, and we'll have pearl oyster, which is our local indigenous strain from Oliver, and we'll be growing king oyster, blue oyster, to finish off the season. Yeah. Really interesting thing that we're starting to notice is that our local indigenous strain that we call pearl oyster, it can handle 5 to 35 Celsius. So it's a strain that I can grow actually all year round, whereas originally we thought we could only grow it in the fall. 5 to 35, that's a massive temperature variation. Yeah. So you had that one in the spring then? I've had this strain for 3 years, and we haven't tested the whole range of it, but we're kind of, through mistakes, we're kind of realizing that holy shit, like this can actually survive past 30 Celsius. That's fantastic. So we have problems as we transition from spring to summer because it doesn't always work out perfectly because the temperatures can spike when we're not ready. But now we can grow this pearl oyster strain, and we can grow it all year long, and then kind of put in our different strains throughout the season, and our production next year probably won't dip as the way it has in the past. We're always moving forward, we're always doing more production every year. But
Yeah.
I think what I'm learning this year with this strain, like we're just going to explode next year.
Yeah, you could just, that can be the thing that kind of bridges it all together, where some of their other variability in the other varieties.
And most
comes and goes.
indoor mushroom growers, they focus on a few strains and they don't stop production and they just keep going. Whereas once we get into summer and we transition into fall, it always gets a little bit difficult. Like September, we always have problems. So like this September, I'm hoping that I'm on track a lot better and we will be able to kind of, you know, hit the production we're looking to hit and not have those problems. And that's really what makes my business more challenging is preparing for these seasonality dips.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you've changed, like there's quite a few infrastructure upgrades here. Tell us about what you've done here.
Yeah, when you were here, this was just finished and we hadn't built the back covered structure that kind of canopies over the
joins
two.
them together.
So we built that, and we have some YouTube videos on the construction of that. We did a really cool time lapse of that.
I'll have a link to Brian's channel in the end of this video, so follow him and you can learn a lot of stuff from him too.
And then we had the walk-in fridge in Thor's shop, and we craned that over with this giant crane. We set that on the cement, and then just put the fridge on some PVC and rolled it, just like the Egyptians.
Right.
And we just roll it into place, and then just kind of took our crowbar and lifted it and just put it in place. It was actually really cool.
So now you've got cold storage. Is that allowing you to? Is that buying you some flexibility with harvest times and delivery times and stuff?
It just means that we can store a lot more mushrooms now and not have to worry about it. We're using freezer chests before,
right?
And by the time we started having 3 freezer chests plugged in, we were using a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Have you seen that before? You can get a freezer chest, hook it up to a thermostat controller that you get at a brewery supply place, and basically it shuts the compressor off at 2 Celsius.
Oh wow!
Right?
So it can function as a.
So you pick up a 20-year-old freezer chest for like $50 on Craigslist. And then we convert it, it becomes a fridge, but they draw so much power.
Yeah, they're inefficient.
But it's
a lot more.
a great solution to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what's going on behind us right now? These guys are doing something with all these chips.
Yeah, they're just finishing production. We use wood chips for our business, so we add some bran and oyster shell and bag that up, and everything gets prepped the night before. And we pile everything up, and all the water just kind of drains out overnight, and we're left with field capacity. And we want it to be wet, but not dripping wet, just moist. And we bag that up, and then our wood chip bags get sterilized for 15 hours in our super pasteurization unit.
So that's what those tanks are. That's the pasteurization.
Yeah. Right now our bottleneck is that we don't have enough lab space, and you might have saw we had bags on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
So we're actually at this point, we're pulling bags that are not fully colonized, but they're not heating up anymore. If you don't know, as the mycelium is running through the wood chips, it's actually creating energy and heating up. So we space the bags so that they don't overheat, and we have AC in our lab, so they're temperature controlled. But once they've fully colonized the bag, we'll have like a little spot that's not quite colonized, but it's not giving off heat anymore. So we're actually, just to push everything to the limits at this point, we're taking those bags, shoving those on the bottom shelf, and just kicking them underneath, and every bag is touching. And then we're doing production, and then we're reshelving the new stuff in the lab, just to try to push everything as much as we can. Because right now with our business, because we're putting in so many blocks in our greenhouse, putting about 850 blocks, that we don't actually have enough lab space to handle that.
Jeez.
So we're just trying to come up with ways to kind of keep production going until we can afford to put up a 3rd lab at this point.
Right. And so is that the next would you need another lab before you can have another grow tent?
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
So we're just trying to figure that out right now, and what's the best way to do it, and hopefully next year that's a project we're working on.
So from the bags, from that stage as they're sitting in the lab, and then they go into the grow tents, how long is it from there to harvest? So you got your L moistures right now in your lion's mane. How many days to harvest is it from going in there to cutting like we did today?
I would say most strains we grow, it takes anywhere between 18 and 24 days by the time we're harvesting our first flush. And then it's usually maybe another 3 weeks, and we'll harvest the second flush. So if everything's working perfect and we have strains that don't take too long, it's usually about 6 to 7 weeks, and then it can get up to about 8 weeks. But after that, we're usually flipping the greenhouse at that point.
Right, and that's what I just saw today. You guys pulled out all the stuff,
yeah. So
and then you're you had your buddy, was it Grant?
Grant was
Grant,
there, yeah.
farmer,
Yeah.
the farmer friend came to take that stuff. He's inoculating, or he's putting that stuff in his footpaths on his. He's a market garden like I am.
So we don't charge for those blocks because it takes a lot of time for us to strip the plastic.
Yeah,
off
because you
and
guys are
compost
cutting them, and that's labor, right?
So if anyone wants to come to the farm, we're like, yeah, for sure. Like we're stripping the greenhouse today, and they'll come grab the blocks and take a few hundred, and that's less work for us.
Perfect.
And good for them.
Good for them. It's a win-win.
Yeah.
So then once you clear out that green, actually, before we go there, I want to know. So out of the two you're doing right now, Elm Oysters and Lion's Mane. So I was just in there, and Simon was harvesting. And then that looked like a kind of a pre-harvest, like a sort of the first harvest in that one.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, we've been harvesting. That's greenhouse one. We've been harvesting that for about a week.
Okay, so how many like sessions will you go in there and pick it?
We harvest twice a day, every day.
Twice a day, every day.
Once the summer heat gets up, and the mushrooms just keep growing. Every 12 hours is actually very significant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So in order for us to not be throwing out and having less waste, we need to harvest more often.
Wow. So I guess the production challenge is how do you time it up and stack all those so that you have this sort of steady production where they're overlapping but not overlapping too much, then you have too much production.
Yeah.
Is that something that happens?
For us, it doesn't matter. We to be honest, we can't fill the greenhouse fast enough right now.
Okay.
We need to actually increase our sterilization, sterilize more blocks faster and quicker, so that we are inoculating bigger batches, and then we can fill the greenhouse faster. It takes us about 5 to 10 days to fill a greenhouse right now, but ideally, if we can fill it in 3 days, that greenhouse is going to make us more money in a month than if we take longer to fill it. The revenue is going to be spread out on a longer duration.
So when you're saying it takes 5 days to fill the greenhouse, that means because you're taking that batch from the lab, putting it in there,
Yep.
it's getting to go, and now you got to bring another batch in there. That's why the lab space dilemma.
So right now we have 200 blocks growing. Like we inoculate 250 blocks in one day. Every 2 days we inoculate 250 blocks, and then those take 18 days to grow out, and they're kind of sporadic. They might be like some of them are ready in 18, some are ready in 20. But the point is if we were able to inoculate 500 bags every 2 days, those 500 are going to grow a lot faster.
Of course, yeah.
And then we'll be able to fill our greenhouses faster, and suddenly our farm can make more money each month just by filling the greenhouses quicker.
Right.
So if we want to start working on efficiency and profitability, we increase our sterilization and we increase our lab space,
Yeah.
and then we expand our greenhouses.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I was just watching one of the guys back there. You guys emptied it. You pulled out all the bags. So what happens then? Is it like you're sterilizing the concrete pad, or what was going on there? It looked like there was some kind of soap on the ground or something.
Yeah. So we clean the greenhouses every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on what was growing in there. And we literally strip everything out. Shelves come out. We clean the floor with this food grade peroxide-based cleaner. That's fine to go in the ground. And we scrub everything, scrub the shelves, scrub the fan, and then put everything back so it's like a nice, fresh, brand new greenhouse. And that's the best way to kind of prevent rotting, algae growth, bacteria, even fly outbreaks, is just kind of doing that maintenance. If you're a smaller operation, you might only be able to have one greenhouse that you're constantly filling and taking blocks out, and eventually it just gets so gross.
Yeah.
And really having the ability to rotate all of our greenhouses gives us a huge advantage to stay clean, and also have a nice kind of rotation through the farm.
Yeah, it's very much like a succession crop plantings on a farm.
Yeah.
So you ran a mentorship program this year. You had people come from all over.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that.
So this program was completely experimental for us this year. We've been running an internship program for the last 3 years at our farm, and we decided that having someone on our farm for 30 days, it's a lot of fun and it's very valuable, but there's more of an opportunity to have a 1 week stay instead of such a big commitment. So we started a program called the Mentorship, where someone travels from wherever. We get people from all over the world, and we're going to give them a place to stay, and we're going to teach you guys how to grow mushrooms and how this business works, and you're going to be part of our daily routine every day.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through production, harvest, lab work, even deliveries, how we market the business. You learn everything, and any questions you might have, I do the best that I can to answer those while they're here.
Yeah.
So we ran that this year for the first year. I was looking just to do 5 spots as a trial run, and I kept adding stuff all year to the point where we have 24 students coming.
Because of the video I did with him, he had
Yeah,
too many applicants.
Yeah, it was insane. Like Curtis has been very generous with his time, and he's been helping a lot promoting what I'm doing, and our education program exploded this year, and it was definitely because of you. And
That's awesome.
I appreciate you helping get the word out. So now that we're looking to 2018, we've expanded our program even more, and we're looking at getting, I think, at least 35 or 40 students next year. And
Wow.
we started overlapping students this year, and I didn't know how that would work because I had marketed the program as a mentorship one-on-one, but I started having overlapping students, and it was actually better.
Yeah, the interaction and then the carry on of the knowledge too from one student to the next would be kind of cool.
So cool. So like we have multiple people on the farm. We've had that for a couple months now, and they're from different parts of the world, and they bring all this different experience, but then they end up kind of learning together and kind of feeding off of each other, and it becomes not only like a great place to learn, but just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So with that, we've expanded, and we're actually doing double spots a lot next year, and we're offering a camping spot, which is cheaper, and we're offering a full accommodation spot on the farm. We have a 28-foot long trailer, so we have someone if they want to, live in luxury, they get a bed, living room, kitchen, everything like that. And if you want something a little bit cheaper for an option, we're offering camping on the farm, and you're able to set up a tent here, and we still have a shower, bathroom, in our shop, and we're still gonna kind of have some communal dinners, but you'll have some independence as well.
And it's beautiful around here, guys. It's beautiful Okanagan Valley, and it's
So we're offering. Because we're transitioning into a bigger program next year, we're going to be giving you I haven't wrote my workbook yet. I have a huge 100-page business plan that I'm going to start deconstructing and making about maybe a 50-page workbook. So we're going to give all our students a workbook. We're going to give you 4 cultures, all the best cultures that I consider that I grew up throughout the season.
So they get to take home some cultures?
They get to take home some cultures. We'll give you a workbook, and because we're transitioning, we're actually offering a early bird discount right now till the end of December, and you'll actually save $500 if you book my course now. It's very generous.
Okay.
And Curtis and I were just talking. If you're interested to come to this video, why not do a $100 discount code on this video as well? I don't have any way to do a code, but
yeah, if you guys see the video, just let Brian know that you saw this video, and we'll save you an extra $100 on top of, if you're going to sign up now, on top of the early bird, or $100 off if you're signing up in 2018. Fantastic. Cool, Brian. Well, everything looks awesome right now. Thanks for taking the time, dude.
Thanks for just connecting me with everyone.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's cool. It's cool to share this knowledge, because what you're doing is really important, and I'm really happy to have my audience see this stuff. Cool.
Thanks, man.
All right.